See that there? That is the red panda, found in southwest China near the Himalayas. And for our story to begin today, we need to go deep inside one of these ancient trees, because that is where your tale begins. You see that brown ball of fur? Little more than 6 kilograms. Well, that's you. And right now, you are completely blind, with the only thing you can feel being your mum and also your sibling. Red pandas can have up to 4 cubs in one litter. However, it seems that it's just you and the other one, so there's less competition for resources from your mum. You will spend the next couple of weeks in the nest with your mum, using her as a source of warmth, at least until your fur grows in, and also while your secondary goal is working on not being blind. In the meantime, your mum will only leave the nest occasionally to feed, with the vast majority of her time being spent being focused on cleaning the nest. So she grabs the old Dyson out from under the stairs and gets to it. This includes her having to eat your poop in order to ensure that the nest doesn't become a breeding ground for disease, and also licking yours and your siblings' rear end to ensure that you're stimulated enough to remove any waste from your body. At the latest, after around 50 days, your eyes should have opened. And frankly, if they haven't by this point, I think there's a more serious issue going on there. And to be frank with you, you're probably as dead as a dodo. After around 70 days, you will join your mum in her foraging trips, with your tail acting as a balancer as you make your way through the forest. Although, you will not start eating solid foods until you're around 90 days old. Much like your famous counterpart, the red panda is a highly specialised animal, with the body of a predator, but instead has chosen to eat plants. Specifically, as you may have guessed, it's bamboo, with this making up 95% of your diet. Although, this will vary throughout the year, with the closer to autumn you get, the more varied your diet becomes, and will sometimes include meat. But, looking at your bamboo habits, unlike your counterpart, the red panda will typically only eat the leaves and stem of the bamboo plant. And you prefer 2 types of bamboo, which is quite ironic, considering there are more than 30 different varieties in your environment. Still, you must really love these 2 types because the red panda spends 10 to 12 hours a day purely dedicated to eating. However, as mentioned, as a young red panda who hasn't been weaned, instead of spending all your time doing this, you only dabble in solid foods, and for the moment, most of your day will be spent walking around with mum and also playing with your sibling. However, gradually, as we move closer to the age of 13 weeks and the typical time frame in which you will have been weaned off your mother's milk, you will transition to fully eating bamboo. And whilst you are technically independent and you are able to go it alone after 8 months, you will stay with your mum and your sibling, often only separating when the next breeding season rolls around. By this time, as mentioned, you are now independent. Often, red pandas will travel 30 kilometers outside their mum's territory in order to establish their own. One of the key things for red pandas, aside from bamboo access, is proximity to a water source, because you'll need to drink at least once a day in order to make up for the lack of liquids from eating a plant. If you find that territory, well, congrats, you now need to establish yourself. So, to let everyone that you've moved in, you'll rub your rear end on the stumps of trees and rocks. Although, you do have glands on your feet, which acts very much as a trail marker, and also helping to alert other red pandas that you've been through this way. Alongside this, oh, there's another red panda. And they're in your new territory. You stare at one another, eyes locked, preparing to do combat. And then you both walk off. The reason for this is actually quite simple, because your territories often overlap with other red pandas, and a fight would mean expending lots of energy, and that's less time in the day to eat bamboo, although you do prefer to live the solitary lifestyle. But your bamboo habits are incredibly important for your ecosystem, as you prevent bamboo from becoming overgrown and dominating the local ecosystem. But red pandas also help to spread seeds in their environment. This, as you may imagine, includes bamboo, but also other types of seeds such as berries and also fruit. But what I've just outlined above will be your life for most of the year. Rain, wind or snow, no matter the weather, it will be you on the forest floor eating bamboo. One of the few things that varies from individual to individual is when you're awake, because that's literally up to you. And red pandas are known to be active from pretty much any time of the day. But what doesn't change is that once you've met your 10 to 12 hour feeding time, to put it frankly, you're stuffed. So, like a dad who's had too much to eat on Christmas, time for a nap. And well, you have a lot of options because, and I'm not sure if you noticed this, you are in a forest. So, you pick a tree you like the look of, use your semi-retractable claws to climb up it. Once there, you'll pick a tree branch and settle down for a long nap, with some red pandas sleeping for 17 hours in one sesh, although your sleeping position will vary depending on the season. If it's summer, you'll lie on the branch with your legs dangling down from the branch to help your body keep cool. But in the winter, red pandas are known to curl up into a ball, using their tail both as a pillow and a scarf. It also helps as well that you do have a really thick coat to keep you warm. That also comes with the downside of keeping you very hot in the summer months. Once you wake up from your long nap, you usually take a stretch, washing your face with your front paws, and you'll climb down the tree, pick up a bamboo plant, using this extra bone which is developed on the side of your hand, and it acts very much like a thumb, keeping the bamboo in place as you eat. And then the cycle will continue for the next year until the breeding season, as when it starts, sometime in January through to March, red pandas will often come together in small groups, with there being a mixture of both males and females, and they'll often feed in close proximity to one another, and they'll squeak at one another to communicate, with a male following a female. If they're both happy with one another, they will mate multiple times, although this will often be with different partners. If successful, the male goes back to his life, usually chilling in the forest, eating bamboo and getting very fat, while the female by comparison is left to shoulder the burden and thus will have to go and build a nest. Usually they pick the inside of a hollow tree or in the space between rocks, with the average red panda gestation time being around 135 days, although it should be said that this is the average, and there is some evidence of delayed implantation occurring here. That is, the female is able to choose when the baby red panda starts developing. The cycle of life will continue until, as all things, you die, sometime in the wild around the age of 8 to 10, although red pandas have been known to live for 15 years in captivity. But aside from this, the life of the red panda is pretty chill. And I mean, they're so cute. Just look at them. Like, who'd want to hurt these? Oh. Run. Nah, mate, that's not gonna work. Ooh. Yeah, that. Ooh. For what it's worth, snow leopards are one of the few things that could have killed you at this point. So, the fact you managed to avoid the birds of prey and the foxes that would have knocked you off earlier on in your lifespan is quite impressive. And I guess the myth about you guys being a good luck charm is real. What you may have noticed about the red panda is that technically there are two types, with a more darker coloration on their fur and those with a lighter coloration. These are the two subspecies, the Chinese and the Tibetan red panda. Although there is now a debate that these red pandas may actually be entirely different species, simply due to the fact that there is very little genetic similarities between the two. It's believed that the separation occurred as a result of glacial movements separating the two populations hundreds of thousands of years ago. In the modern day, red pandas are endangered, with most threats coming from human developments such as agriculture, deforestation and mining, and also, more noticeably, climate change. There's also issues in their use in traditional Chinese medicine and also for consumption. Interestingly, the word panda comes from the Nepalese word Niganya Ponya, which translates to bamboo eater, which goes to explain why it was given to the giant panda. That, and also, at a glance, the red panda and the giant panda do look pretty similar, although they literally have nothing to do with one another, and the relationship between the red panda and the giant panda is about the same as saying that a dog is related to a bear. One of the things you might not know is that the browser Firefox based their name on the red panda, because initially they wanted to go with the word firebird, but that was unavailable, so they went with the next best thing. Although ironically enough, considering the quality of the Firefox browser, I think that's actually more of an insult than a compliment. But what's obvious is that red pandas are fascinating animals, unique in their environment, have been overshadowed by their far larger and far lazier cousin. But the red panda holds a very special place in many people's hearts, and are very cute and very cool animals. And I mean, it was the red panda that taught the dragon warrior how to fight a snow leopard. So, I guess in a way, the red panda did get its vengeance after all. And with that, folks, that's the red panda. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a solid press the like and subscribe button and leave a comment below with the phrase red cat in it, so I know you got this far. And if you wouldn't mind me recommending, I'd check out this video next on the peak of evolutionary biology. But if you're not interested, in the meantime, thank you for watching, enjoy the rest of your day, and remember, for the love of God, please don't pick up a red panda, they will hug you to death. I'll see you in the next one.